Imagine this. You're working on something super important on your Mac, and suddenly the screen freezes. Your cursor won't move, the apps won't quit, then the whole thing crashes. Panic hits. Did I just lose everything? Is my Mac dead? Do I have to go to the Apple Store now? Take a breath. You can restore your Mac, and you can probably do it by yourself. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do when your Mac crashes. Step by step from the easiest fixes, all the way up to completely reinstalling macOS. No fluff, no jargon, just what actually works. By the end of this video, you'll know how to force restart a frozen Mac, start in safe mode, use recovery mode, run first aid on your disk, reinstall macOS without losing your files, and if you have to, start from a clean slate. Let's start from the moment your Mac dies. Your Mac is frozen, nothing responds. Here's step 1. If you're on a MacBook, press and hold the power button. Keep holding it. Don't tap it. Hold it down for 10 full seconds. The screen should go black. Wait a couple of seconds, then press the power button again to turn it back on. If you're on an iMac, Mac Mini, or Mac Studio, do the same. Press and hold the power button for 10 seconds. Wait a moment, then press it again to turn it back on. If your Mac restarts and everything seems normal, you just survived a crash. But if this keeps happening, your system might be unstable. Stay with me because I'll show you how to fix that. Now, what if it doesn't turn back on properly? What if you see a loading bar that gets stuck, or you see a question mark folder, or it just sits on a blank screen? That's when we move to step 2, safe mode. Safe mode is like diagnostic mode for your Mac. It only loads the bare minimum it needs to run, and it can automatically fix some problems in the background. Here's how to use it. If you have a Mac with Apple Silicon, like an M1, M2, or M3 Mac, make sure it's completely shut down. Now, press and hold the power button and keep holding it until you see loading startup options on the screen. When you see your startup disk, press and hold the Shift key, then click Continue in Safe Mode. Keep holding Shift until you see the login window, then log in. If you have an Intel Mac, shut it down first. Then press the power button, immediately hold the Shift key, keep holding Shift until you see the login window, then log in. If your Mac starts successfully in safe mode, that is a very good sign. You've just proved that the core of your system still works. Once you're in, look around. Does it feel slow? That's normal in safe mode. What you're checking for is simple. Can you log in? Can you see your desktop? Are your files there? If safe mode works, here's what you should do next. First, back up anything important. If you don't already use Time Machine, now is the time to plug in an external drive and copy over your essential files. Documents, photos, anything you can't live without. Don't skip this. Crashes are your Mac's way of warning you. Second, restart normally. Just go to Restart and let your Mac boot up without safe mode. Sometimes just entering and leaving safe mode can clear out cache issues and fix the crash loop. If your Mac now works normally, you might be done. But if it still crashes, freezes, or refuses to boot, it's time for step 3, recovery mode. Recovery mode is where the real magic happens. This is built into your Mac. You don't need a USB installer. You don't need another computer. You just need to know how to get there. Here's how you start recovery mode on Apple Silicon. Make sure your Mac is shut down. Now press and hold the power button and keep holding it until you see loading startup options. When you see the options screen, click the one that says Options, then click Continue. On an Intel Mac, shut it down, then press the power button and immediately hold Command and R together. Keep holding them until you see the Apple logo or a spinning globe. If you've done it right, you'll land in macOS recovery. Here's where you can restore your system. You'll see a few options: restore from Time Machine, reinstall macOS disk utility, and maybe others depending on your version. Before you reinstall anything, we're going to check your drive. Why? Because if your disk has errors, simply reinstalling macOS might not fix the real problem. So we go to Disk Utility. Open Disk Utility. In the sidebar, look for your main drive, usually called Macintosh HD or something similar. If you see multiple volumes, choose the top most physical drive, not just the volume underneath. Now we run First Aid. Click First Aid, then confirm you want to run it. This can take a while. Let it finish. Don't interrupt it. If First Aid reports that the disk is okay, that's a good sign. If it reports errors that it couldn't fix, your drive may be failing, and you should seriously think about backing up immediately and maybe replacing the drive or seeing a professional. But let's say First Aid finishes and says, appears to be okay. Close Disk Utility and go back to the main recovery screen. Now we're ready for the restore part. There are two kinds of restores you can do here. The first is the gentle one. Reinstall macOS over your existing installation without erasing your data. This keeps your files and most settings, but replaces the system itself. The second is the nuclear option. Erase everything and start fresh. We'll start with the gentle one because if that works, you'll keep your data. On the main recovery screen, click Reinstall macOS. Choose your main disk, usually Macintosh HD, then follow the prompts. This process will download the latest compatible version of macOS for your Mac and install it over your existing system. This can take a while, especially if your internet is slow. Your Mac might restart several times. Don't worry, that's normal. Just let it do its thing. When it finishes, your Mac should boot up like normal. You'll log in, and ideally, all your files and apps will still be there, but your operating system will be fresh. If your crashes are gone, you just restored macOS without losing your data. That's the best case scenario. But what if your Mac still crashes or won't boot even after reinstalling? Or what if your disk was so corrupted that reinstalling wasn't even an option? That's when we talk about the nuclear option, erasing the disk and doing a clean install. Before you do this, you need to understand something important. Erasing your disk deletes everything. Apps, files, settings, all of it. You should only do this if either you have a good backup or you've already tried everything else and your system is unusable. If you have a time machine backup, this is actually a powerful combo. Erase the disk, reinstall macOS, then restore your files from Time Machine. Here's how to erase and start fresh. Go back into macOS Recovery. Open Disk Utility again. Select your main disk. Click Erase. Choose the format your Mac suggests. On newer Macs, that's usually APFS. Give the disk a name like Macintosh HD and confirm that you want to erase. Once it's done, close Disk Utility, go back to the main recovery window, and choose Reinstall macOS. This will install a completely clean copy of macOS onto your freshly erased drive. When it finishes, your Mac will boot like it's brand new. You'll see the Setup Assistant. Here you have a choice, set up as a new Mac or restore from a Time Machine backup. If you have a backup from before things went wrong, this is your moment. Choose to restore from Time Machine, select the backup you want, and let macOS bring your files and settings back. If you don't have a backup, you'll have to set it up as a new Mac. Reinstall your apps and sign back into your accounts manually. Now let's talk about something most people ignore until it's too late. Prevention. How do you reduce the chances that your Mac will crash like this again? First, keep regular backups. Plug in an external drive and turn on Time Machine. Let it back up automatically. Then, if disaster hits, you're not starting from zero. Second, keep some free space on your drive. When your disk is almost full, macOS has less room to work, and that can lead to slowdowns, freezes, and crashes. Try to keep at least 10 to 20% of your disk free. Third, be careful about random system utilities and cleaners. Some third-party tools that promise to optimize your Mac actually mess with critical system files. If your crashes started right after installing one of those, consider removing it. Fourth, install macOS updates regularly. They're not just about new features. They often include important bug fixes and security patches that can prevent weird system issues. And finally, listen to your Mac. If you hear strange clicking noises from an old hard drive, if your Mac gets extremely hot often, or if crashes become more frequent, don't just hope it'll fix itself. Back up and either repair it or be ready to replace failing hardware. Let's recap everything in a simple flow you can remember. 1. If your Mac crashes or freezes, force restart it by holding down the power button for 10 seconds, then turn it back on. 2. If it still acts weird, boot into safe mode. On Apple Silicon, hold the power button and choose Options, then use Shift when starting. On Intel, hold Shift when booting. If it works in safe mode, back up your important files and restart normally. 3. If the problem continues, go into recovery mode. On Apple Silicon, hold the power button and choose Options. On Intel, hold Command and R while booting. 4. In recovery, open Disk Utility and run First Aid on your main disk. If it says it's okay, move on. If it says it can't repair the disk, back up immediately and consider hardware repair. 5. Try reinstalling macOS without erasing the disk. This keeps your files but refreshes the system. 6. If that fails or you still have serious issues, consider erasing the disk and doing a clean install, then restoring from a Time Machine backup if you have one. If you follow these steps calmly, you'll go from "my Mac is dead" to "my Mac is back" without that helpless feeling. So the next time your Mac crashes, instead of panicking, you'll know exactly what to do. Force restart, safe mode, recovery mode, disk utility. Reinstall if needed, clean install, and restore. And if this video helped you feel more in control of your Mac, share it with someone who always freaks out when their computer freezes. Because the difference between a disaster and a minor annoyance is often just knowing the right steps.